While the tall mountains sat still at dawn, no beast or bird echoed their voice into these valleys. Suddenly, the silence was broken with the clit-clat clattering of stone dashing against stone, and the moving visage of a man descending the slopes. The man steadied himself upon reaching the valley floor. In front of him sat a singular hut, with only a storehouse and a dead oak tree for company. He spied it from the mountaintop and figured it refuge. As he approached, he held on to the hope of respite against this cold, maybe even a meal. After some time, the adventurer was met with the creak of a door and the creak of an old, unfriendly-looking face. "Ho, friend. My name is Blank, and I've been traveling for 5 moons and so find myself very weary. May I wonder if I could shack with you tonight? Have you any food? I will pay my dues."
"Yes, come in."
"Thank you. It has been many a night and day since I've seen a human face. Your shelter is a boon. I just set out from Gigasby on the last full moon."
"Yes, indeed. You're from Gigasby. It has also too been many a moon since I've seen a face in such good tidings."
"Say, what do you do in these parts? How do you survive in this desolate valley, so far from kin and so grey in age?"
"I be, and I be. Day in, day out, I see. So it has happened, and so it will be decreed."
Perplexed with the odd saying, the adventurer gazed apprehensively at the withered head staring at him. Her eyes resembled the dark buttons in his tunic. "I've heard tales of hermits, but I've never imagined such strength in the elderly. I am impressed, old woman." I recognize myself as a hunter, yet I see no fowl frequent in this valley. I find this valley is as dead as silence, and as such I must ask, as to its inhabitancy, why is this?"
"1,000 questions, 1,000 answers, dear child. All will come, but not all will enthrall ye as ye hoped."
The adventurer hadn't had time to ponder those words. Before he had a chance to question the riddle, the old woman stood and pivoted, quite gracefully for her age, to a large pot of bubbling stew right behind her. She took a ladle and with it filled a bowl and handed it to her guest.
"I grow weary of you. Eat, sleep in the storehouse outside if you wish, but come morn, be gone with ye."
The adventurer was feeling rather suspicious of the broth steaming up to his nose. It wasn't that it smelled fetid or foul, but rather the demeanor of its cook. He was too hungry to give that paranoia much more than a glance of a thought, so he began to eat. The bowl ended fast, and soon he was resting on the cold but sheltered ground of the storehouse, and with a full belly found himself asleep as fast as that bowl had ended. But that night, he was racked with prophetic visions, nightmares of legends foretold about his village's beginnings and what seemed like its potential future. Images of the forests being felled and the subsequent life force of nature spent by the hands of humans. He saw men and women he did not recognize, but he could tell that they were his ancestors. Flashes of his kin erecting buildings and constructing ships, and then flashes of it all in flames, and eventually reclaimed by the forest. He awoke violently in a hot sweat, but found he could not move, nor speak, only muffle. Vicious vines protruding from the storehouse floor had conquered and restrained him. Enveloped by what felt like stinging nettles, the adventurer realized the vines were seeping into his flesh and extracting something from him. His consciousness faded. His mind was transferred back into that hellish dream, though this time he was met with a peculiar being of which he'd seen nothing of its like before. This being said nothing, but simply frowned and pointed towards the forest and the origin of the vines. They were protruding like tendrils, movements resembling caterpillars, raising and lowering as his essence was pumped off back into the darkness of the forest. His adventure was over. The old woman came into the storehouse to watch her doing unfold. The shape of the storehouse faded into an illusion, and in its place, where the corpse laid, an old, gnarled, dead oak tree took its place.